What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video I am using Golurk, Tapu Fini, and Feraligatr. And before you say anything, I beat all the grass type Pokemon that I saw today, so don't even go in the comments going, your team is weak to grass. I don't want to hear it. This team is so good. Golurk is amazing with the new Mud Slap update and the Shadow Punch update. This Pokemon is incredible. Tapu Fini strong as ever, and then obviously Feraligatr being top meta. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Golurk on the lead versus Venusaur. So what's cool about Venusaur is it takes neutral damage from Mud Slap, and Golurk really doesn't care. We are going to be shredding it apart with our fast move, and Shadow Punches as well hit pretty hard. So we're going to shield the first Frenzy Plant. We're going to look to load up on energy and go for the Shadow Punch, and we should be able to outpace to 3. Now, Shadow Punch here does get shielded, so we're going to go for another Mud Slap and then go for the Shadow Punch. This is where they really got to start questioning if they're going to give up 2 shields or not, and they decide to let it go, so I will go ahead and take Switch Advantage, give up the final shield, and get the nice farm down. So Golurk completely eliminating that hard counter, but they come in with a Typhlosion, which I thought was interesting because it's so weak to Mud Slap. So I'm hoping that my water type Pokemon in the back have a lot of play as we swap out into Feraligatr now. We're likely going to get hit with Thunder Punch here, but it's not enough to one-shot, and we should be able to outpace to the second charge move, as we can easily get to the Hydro Cannon right now and knock out the Typhlosion, which is going to be beautiful. So boom, down it goes. Now remember, the Venusaur is low, so Shadow Claws will take it out, and the final Pokemon is actually going to be an Ampharos. So this was Venusaur Ampharos Core against Golurk Double Water, and we are going to be able to overcome as we can go for Hydro Cannon here, as it does land for a lot of damage. They will be farming up, so what I'm going to look to do is come in with Tapu Fini. I'm going to let them do 1 Volt Switch, and I'm going to swap into Golurk to try to catch the charge move. But Golurk doesn't care. He survives long enough and gets to the Shadow Punch so we can take out, boom, the Ampharos, and then we fast move down the Venusaur, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Alright, moving to the next one. We have Golurk versus Poliwrath here on the lead. So we will see them swap out into Venusaur. This team doesn't care. Golurk is so strong in this meta, as we can go for Shadow Punch here. We are slightly ahead on energy as well, which is really good. We do get a shield from them, and we sneak through the Mud Slap, which is fantastic, as we give up the shield now on the Frenzy Plant. And much like before, we are just going to be dominating this matchup because of the combination of the new Mud Slap energy gain paired with the damage from Shadow Punch, as we are able to safely shield and farm down. I could let this go, but I decided to shield and maintain Switch Advantage because I don't know what they have in the back, and I still got a lot of energy here on Golurk. It is going to be Giratina altered, so we can actually do a lot of damage with the Shadow Punch here, as it is super effective. And we're going to swap out into Feraligatr now, because if they stay in, right, we go for a free Ice Beam. If they swap out into the Poliwrath, we can do a lot of damage there and soften up the Poliwrath so that Tapu Fini can Moonblast. I wish I had the legacy move of I believe it's Nature's Madness, but I haven't Elite Charge TM'd it yet. I just stuck with Moonblast for this set of battles, which is fine, as we can go for Hydro Cannons here against Poliwrath, which is great. Tapu Fini is going to be closing this out, guys. Like, Tapu Fini is an absolute monster still in the Ultra League, so this is going to be a good game, very well played. Obviously the the Scald here is going to hurt, but they went for Icy Wind, which is fine. So I'm going to come in with the Tapu Fini. Or actually, no, I decided to come in with Golurk. Sorry, I come in with Golurk to force their energy because they have to throw. They're not going to outpace me in terms of fast move damage because of Mud Slap is doing neutral. So they throw Icy Wind, which is fine, but now that's sealed the deal. I cannot get debuffed. I come in with Tapu Fini, and now we just Moonblast to win this game because it is a 0 shield scenario, and I believe my opponent did close the app right here. Otherwise, the Giratina Altered would be on the field. So now we got to try to get rid of it. Yeah, it's just going to sit there. But this team felt really, really good. In this meta, it felt incredibly strong. Golurk is going to surprise you based on how quickly it gets to those shadow punches, how much damage the Mud Slap is going to be doing. So overall, I was really impressed with it. So good game to my opponent. All right, moving to the next one, Golurk versus Lapras. So this is obviously a bad lead right here, so we're going to swap out into Feraligatr, and my opponent is not swapping out. This gives me hope that maybe they're extremely weak to Feraligatr in the back, whether it's to the water typing or maybe the Ice Beam, I don't know yet. But we're going to go ahead and go for Hydro Cannons here. We get a shield from them, which is interesting. Why would they shield other than throwing Skull Bash? So I'm going to shield myself, and it was Skull Bash, right? There is no reason to be shielding a Hydro Cannon unless you know you're going to take less damage on the future ones because you're boosting your defenses with Skull Bash. That is why I shielded, and it paid off dramatically. Skull Bash would have done so much damage, so we're going to be going for Hydro Cannons here, and Feraligatr is tearing through the Lapras. I don't want to give up a shield on a Skull Bash at this point. I'm fine with it going through, but they went for Surf anyways, which definitely helps me out as I can now force the Hydro Cannon to win switch advantage, get this Lapras out of the game so Golurk can potentially run free. I don't know how free it's going to run because they come in with Wall Rain. I'm like, right, is this a triple water team? Am I facing a Lapras, a Walrein, and an X water? Whether that's like something like Swampert with the ground typing or Gyarados. I don't know yet, but so far Golurk does not want to come out onto the field. Right, so we're going to come in with Tapu Fini. They do, in fact, have a Swampert, so it is a triple water team. So what I'm going to do instead is the cheekiest swap of all time. I'm going to swap into Golurk on the Earthquake timing. Did I get it, though? Yes, I did. That took a lot of damage, right? But I was able to catch the charge move and survive. Able to force a shield now with Shadow Punch, which is going to be not, it's actually going to be not shielded. But now my Tapu Fini can come in and farm down with Water Gun. That was the whole point. I needed a massive energy to health advantage over my opponent, because now if you look at it, my opponent is so far behind on energy compared to the Tapu Fini. So I go for Moonblast right away. They decide to no shield, and they do decide to surrender. So that is going to be a good game, very well played. All right, moving to the next one. Golurk versus Primarina. Now, I'm going to see if this is Charm or Waterfall, and it is, in fact, Waterfall, so I do need to swap out. I got out of there way too late. Should have only been hit by one, and they swap in Umbreon. So, Golurk, once again, 0 for 2 on its targets. Remember, before it had, I guess Venusaur is still a decent matchup, like I've showcased twice already, but that game where it was Venusaur and, no, I guess Golurk did well. Regardless, Umbreon and Primarina, we're not talking about past matches, we're talking about the current battle. Umbreon and Primarina are definitely hard counters to Golurk. Golurk can fight back, right? Super effective damage with Dynamic Punch to Umbreon. A lot of neutral damage with Shadow Punch to the Primarina. So we're going to see what it's capable of in this game as we let the foul play go through. I'm just trying to get these Hydro Cannons off. I'm trying, if I can get shield advantage, that would be the greatest win right here in this mid-game fight, which we do get it. This is going to allow my Tapu Fini to aggressively farm down. I'll have to take a lot of health, right? I'll have to probably go 50% HP or roughly, but I can get a healthy farm down with a 2-to-1 shield advantage, which I think will pay off because Golurk can get to those Shadow Punches relatively quickly against that Primarina. So we're going for the aggressive farm down here. It's going to be either Last Resort or Psychic. I'm not too worried either way, so I will let it go through. It is going to be Psychic, which is fine. We are just going to Water Gun down. I need lots of energy. The advantage that I can have in this game is 2-to-1 shields, fully loaded Tapu Fini, so that's what we're going to do as we let the next Psychic go through. Alright, so we do get the farm down here. What is going to be coming in? It is going to be, I believe it's Crobat, which I haven't seen in a long time. I'm like, whoa, okay, Crobat. It does have Poison Fang and Shadow Ball, so this could potentially core break, but I do have the 2-0 shield advantage now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to swap on 5 Air Slashes. I think that's 4, that's 5. I'm going to swap because this is going to be Poison Fang. We are going to catch the resisted charge move on the Golurk, and now we are loading up on energy because I know they're going to swap out into Primarina, and the only way I can get this Primarina out of here is with double Shadow Punch, so we are going to go for that, and we get to the next one in time. So Golurk coming back from the depths of having no coverage, able to take down Primarina, and now it is the Crobat in the back. But unfortunately for this Crobat, I have the 2-0 shield advantage, so that is going to be a good game. I also have quite a bit of energy on the Tapu Fini, so it doesn't matter if they hit me with the Poison Fang. I have the Surf ready to go, and that is going to be a good battle. Obviously, I could have Shadow Punched the Crobat right away and got it out of there. Then that definitely would have been a good game, but I wanted to get rid of the Primarina. All right, moving to the next one. We have Charizard here on the lead. So Charizard, I'm actually going to look to swap into Feraligatr because there is a Venusaur in the back. For some reason, whenever I see a Charizard lead, I automatically assume it's triple starter. I don't know if you guys have noticed this trend. Triple starters aren't bad, right? I'm not going to knock down triple starters. Triple starters are great. Even in the Ultra League, right, in a meta where there's a lot of legendaries, triple starters are strong, right? Don't get me wrong. But when I see a Charizard lead, I'm just like, is it Swampert for a Venusaur in the back? Is it Swampert Feraligatr? Like, what is it going to be? So I decided to make the swap, and Feraligatr's actually, because of the Ice Beam being no-shielded, I'm going to be able to take switch advantage, which you and I both know is huge when we have a Tapu Fini versus a Charizard. We resist both the Dragon Claw and Blast Burn. So we take switch advantage. It was, in fact, triple starter, so my suspicions were correct, and we are now in a very good position to still win this game as we can put a lot of pressure down with the Hydro Cannons there and get the Swampert to 50% HP. Now, this is the tough thing is Golurk still has play, don't get me wrong, but Golurk is very close to Shadow Punch, which is why I decided to come back in with it. I mean, I know it's going to get hit with the Hydro Cannon, but what I can do is swap into Tapu Fini to try to catch the charge move. Yes, I can. I'm catching today. Today was my day to catch charge moves as we... Oh, it's so beautiful. Catching a charge move is one of my favorite things to do in Go Battle League. Booms is number 1, but the catch is even better as now they go for Blast Burns here. Still a lot of damage. This is what I love about Charizard as well. The damage that it can output with a Blast Burn, even resisted, is incredible. So you don't want to sleep on a Charizard, but we do put it down with the Surf, and now it is just the Swampert left, and unfortunately it doesn't have the firepower left to win this game. Golurk would be able to Mud Slap down. Hydro Cannon is just not enough damage, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. All right, moving to the next one. We have Golurk on the lead versus Giratina Altered. So what I'm going to do in this situation, I've played it all a bit differently, but in this one, I'm going to look to go for Shadow Punch to see how much damage it does, and then I try to see if I can swap into Feraligatr. I believe there's 2 battles today, one of which I'm not able to swap out because they went for CMP tie, right? Charge attack priority. But the Shadow Sneak will land, and I swap out. In a future battle, we're going to see another Giratina Altered. I decide to swap and try to catch it instead. So the Dragon Claw does land, but Feraligatr's in a great position here, and they swap in Shadow Poliwrath, but this is with Mud Shot, which changes things up a lot because they're going to be able to get to the charge moves much quicker, right? And counter is a lot better against Tapu Fini and Golurk, whereas the energy gain from Mudshot can be a bit dicey. So thankfully we are able to land multiple Hydro Cannons here against the Poliwrath. We're going to let this go through, hoping it's just Scald or Icy Wind, but it's actually Dynamic Punch. Boom, we go down. And now this is kind of tough because I could come in with Golurk, but I'm actually going to come in with Tapu Fini and try to see if I can Water Gun down because they showed Dynamic Punch. My guess is the next one's going to be Icy Wind, which it is. It was likely a Poliwrath safe swap. And now we're just going to load up a bit and go for the Surf here before they get to another Icy Wind. I don't want to get debuffed, but I know if I swap into Golurk, we should be able to get to a Shadow Punch relatively quickly, but there's a Scizor in the back, and that sealed the deal. Scizor does neutral to Tapu Fini with Bullet Punch, and we have a 2-2 shield scenario, so I'm basically done, right? My Shadow Punch is going to take out the Giratina Alter. They know it, right? They're just going to Bullet Punch me down. I'm still going to fight the good fight, but ultimately I'm just going to get outpaced here. It doesn't matter what they throw, Night Slash, X's, or Iron Head. It doesn't matter. The fast move is what's doing it. Look at the damage that Bullet Punch is doing. So this is going to be a good game to my opponent. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a shield on them early. Had I done that, right, had I been in a 2-1 shielding scenario here against Scizor, I think I win, right? I go 2 Surfs plus Water Gun damage. That's a good game. But they're going to be able to get this one. And Scizor is such a cool Pokemon. I wish it was used more in the meta. Bug-type Pokemon have a lot of trouble being dominant. It's the weaker typing in our metas. But Scizor is so cool that I just wish it was better. It can shine in some specialty cups, and it can actually do well in Ultra League. Like I'm knocking on it a bit, but it just completely took me out, and it can do really well against fairies as well. So good battle to my opponent. Alright, this is what Golurk has been looking for, the Registeel, and we finally find it. They do swap into Greninja, so I'm going to swap into Tapu Fini to catch the charge move, as this is going to be resisted either way, unless it's Aerial Ace, but odds are it's not. Odds are it's Hydro Cannon, which it was. And now we're kind of in a tough situation, because we're both doing resisted damage to each other. They have 2 shields still, so my Moonblast isn't necessarily going to straight up land. I could try to go for it, but I think I just need to go for chip damage, and if they decide to shield, then I soft lose because Feraligatr can still do well. They decide to shield there, which is fine, and this is going to be tough because I can no shield this, and I can go for a Surf and maybe still win. Tapu Fini is that bulky, Hydro Cannon not enough to take us out, but they swap into a Muck instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my Golurk alive. I'm going to bring in the Feraligatr here because the Hydro Cannons will do a lot of neutral damage. And my Golurk, with this shielding scenario, a 2-1, can easily just farm down a Registeel, and it can farm down the Greninja because of how low it is on HP already. So we're going to go ahead and no shield. It is going to be Acid Spray, which is fine. I'm going to load up and just go for the Hydro Cannon. I don't want to get hit with another Acid Spray or Dark Pulse. I'm just going to throw the Hydro Cannon. I already know my win con. It's Golurk, 2 shields. So we do take it out. They come in with Registeel, which is fine. I can just go for Hydro Cannons, and Registeel has to throw in order to take us out. It can't farm us down with Lock-On. Even with the Acid Spray debuff, that's just not going to happen at this health range. So I decide to swap into Golurk and then no shield this, right? Unless it's Flash Cannon, this is going to be Zap Cannon or Focus Blast. So it is the Zap Cannon, which does nothing. We do see the Greninja come in, and this is where my 2 shields are going to be coming into play. The health remaining on this Greninja is just too low. So Mud Slaps will be able to take it down in time. I can safely double shield, and then all that's left is Registeel in the back. And yeah, that's going to be a good game because I have Dynamic Punch as well, and they do decide to surrender. Alright, moving to the next battle, we have Golurk on the lead versus Giratina Altered. So this is the one where I'm actually able to capitalize on a swap. So we're going to play it out the same. I'm going to go for Shadow Punch, but this time I'm going to look to swap out into Feraligatr to try to catch the charge move and keep more health on the Giratina Alter, or on the Golurk, which we do. And they decide to swap out into Primarina. This is going to be a Charm Primarina, which is different. So I'm wondering if it's actually double Charmers in the back. And Feraligatr can do well here. Like, the Primarina will not be getting to a charge move anywhere in the near future, so we just get to go for Hydro Cannons and fully Shadow Claw down. It is no problem, as we just completely take it out. We maintain switch advantage. Giratina Altered coming in has to worry about Feraligatr's potential Ice Beam. So I'm going to shield, and I'm going to go ahead and start loading up on energy and go for the high Ice Beam, right? I'm just going for Hydro Cannon. Even if this lands, if they no shield, it's going to be enough damage, but we do get the shield anyways. And now we can safely let this go. Let the Feraligatr go down as we have gotten the 1-to-1 shields and softened up the Giratina Altered for our Tapu Fini. But my Golurk has energy, so I'm going to look to play to that. Or it had 1 fast move worth of energy. I'm going to look to go heavy into shields here and farm down with Mud Slap. I think there is a play to be had, because if there is another Charmer on the backline, those Shadow Punches or Dynamic Punch is going to do a lot, but it's actually Cobalion, which is even better. I was thinking it was going to be a double Charmer, maybe like a Shadow Granbull, and I would go double Shadow Punch to try to take it out. But a Cobalion right here is gonna face Golurk. Golurk is so strong. I was actually incredibly impressed with how good it is. We're about to get hit with a, I believe it's going to be a Stone Edge or a Sacred Sword. It's going to be Sacred Sword. Not enough damage. We have another Shadow Punch ready to go. This Golurk, when it comes to tanking resisted charge moves and getting charge moves out, it's incredible. So much fun. Good game. All right, moving to the next battle. We have Venusaur once again on the lead. So we are going to play this the same. We are going to delete the Grass-type Pokemon with our neutral damage. Yep, we're just going to do it. Golurk is that good. We do have double water in the back, so obviously we have to get rid of this Venusaur or soften it up so much with shields that Feraligatr could come in. So now we're going to be looking to go for those Shadow Punches here. You guys have seen how much damage this can do already, and they do decide to shield, which is fine by me as I go for the second Shadow Punch. And this is the cool thing, right? They have to shield both if they want to attempt to win. If they don't, I get the easy farm down, but I decide to let this go. I decide to play this one a bit differently to see what Feraligatr can do and maybe not keeping the Golurk alive. And they do bring in a Shadow Machamp. So this isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Hydro Cannon does a lot of damage, but I do have my Tapu Fini to still swap in. And this is my logical thinking here. If Machamp is their best answer to Feraligatr, maybe they have something weak in the back to water. I was thinking it might have been a Talonflame, right? If you look at a Venusaur lead, Venusaur Talonflame core, that kind of makes sense. So the Tapu Fini right here is going to make quick work of Hippowdon, as it is taking super effective damage from the water type moves. And then the Machamp is going to be going down to a Surf. So that is going to be a good game. I can safely shield right here. I want to stop that Stone Edge if it is, in fact, the charge move. And then we are going to be going for the Surf to close this one out. This team was so much fun to use. I know like a pain point here or a core breaking point is Grass-type Pokemon. What I faced off against in terms of Grass-type Pokemon, I was able to handle and had a lot of fun. So good game. All right, moving to the next one. We have Drifblim on the lead. I swap out a Feraligatr right away, and I draw out a Superior, which is worse, right? Venusaur we can handle with that neutral damage from Mud Slap, but the Superior is resisting, and they shield the Ice Beam. So this now is getting into very dangerous territory for this game, so I have to shield. Feraligatr really is my only hope in this matchup. If I can get the Superior low enough, I might be able to do an aggressive farm down and load up on energy, but I need to land an Ice Beam. That has to happen, and it does, which is perfect. And now I'm starting to beg the question, should I go for the Shadow Claw farm down? But I decide not to. I decide to let it go. Boom, we go down. And I got to come in with Golurk. I think Golurk in this situation with Mud Slap, even though it is resisted, we're doing enough. Look at the damage. We have to shield, but coming back into that Drifblim matchup where we have basically near even health. Well, actually, no. They're going to have more health than me, but I have Shadow Punch. I have the super effective damage, so we're going to look to go for it. I'm also going to look to try to swap on the charge move to try to catch an Icy Wind if I can. Shadow Punch gets no shielded, which is even better, so I'm going to go for the second one here. This is going to be taking out Drifblim if they decide not to shield, but they do, so I'm going to look to swap now into Tapu Fini to get out on energy, and it's a Rapidash in the back. It's going to be Wild Charge, so I got to get rid of this thing as quickly as possible because obviously Wild Charge would hit like a truck, but Tapu Fini Surf boom, takes it out. And now the Drifblim, unfortunately, is not going to have the damage needed. Shadow Ball is just not going to be enough. We are going to be able to overcome here with the Tapu Fini, and that is looking to be a good game, very well played. They do get to another charge move here, but this is just an Icy Wind. That is not enough to take me out, and the Surf will now KO. So good game to my opponent. But this team, I'm telling you guys, I faced all these Grass-type Pokemon. This was every single game that I had. So many. The only team I lost to was that Scizor team, right in the back. Good game. Oh, it's a weird place to pause, but okay. Overall, this team was fun. It was powerful. I think Golurk is a threat. I think Golurk is worth your investment into the Ultra League with the updated Mud Slap and Shadow Punch. It is such a good Pokemon. It's great to hard counter those Ampharos, has great coverage across the board for neutral or super effective damage, and really impressed me today. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.